You know, parents have an ideal of the child that they want to have in their mind. And the thing is that most parents expect behavior problems, but they expect kids who are going to learn from those problems. They expect kids who are going to accept the consequences and move on. And parents try to deal with that ideal child. And what happens is that they don't get that ideal child. They don't get a child that likes to play soccer and that picks up his room and that when he's naughty goes and takes a seat and comes back and says, I'm sorry, and tries to change. That's the child that they'd like to have. That's not the child they get. And what happens is, if that's the child you'd like to have, and you keep parenting that child, even though that's not the child you have, you're going to run into some severe problems very early on. Parents have to learn to parent the child they have, not the child they wish they had, not the child they dreamed about. You have a child. If he's a special needs child, then you have to be a special needs parent, and you have to learn the skills that it takes to teach that special needs child the tools he needs to make it in the world. I think it's important to understand that parents' fantasy of an ideal family or fantasies of an ideal child cause them or allow them to make a lot of errors in judgment around what that child needs. So they're still trying to deal with a child who says, I'm sorry, and takes this consequence. And this kid is verbally abusing them or resisting them. And parents just think, well, maybe he's having a bad day or maybe there's something wrong. And so they start going with that. They start giving in. And what starts to happen then is that the child is driving the parenting style instead of the parenting style driving the child. In the Total Transformation Program, we show you exactly how to parent the child you have, how to develop the skills to parent that child who has a behavior problem or maybe who has no motivation and is lackadaisical all the time, or has a learning disability and doesn't really understand what's going on, has a hard time dealing with that, or who has a diagnosis, who's bipolar, who has those kind of problems, to give you the skills to parent that kind of child instead of wishing you had another kind of child, or instead of pretending that your child can learn in situations where he's showing you he can't learn.